Good morning, Warren Bickham. How you doing?
Doing well.
That's a big smile.
Hey, it is. Hey, good morning. How you doing, Mr. Roche, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Freeman? Good to see y'all.
I'm sorry about the wait, but we had a very heavy docket this morning.
I understand. It happens for sure.
The committee of parole is called back to order. It is 11:45 a.m. Our next remote location is Dixon Correctional Center. With the staff at Dixon, please introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Dusty Bickham, Warden.
Donald Cavalier, classification.
Destiny Gerald, Administrative Coordinator. Samantha Sage with Records.
Alvin King, military.
That's it, sir.
I just renamed the institution.
You did, and we're good with it. They know where we are.
We're at Dixon Correctional Institute.
Yes, sir.
And, our first case is Mr. Foster. Mr. Foster, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Anthony Foster. My DOC number is 519883.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. My name is Alvin Roche. To my left is Ms. Bonnie Jackson, and to my right is Mr. Pete Freeman. We'll be your parole panel this morning. It is still morning. Let me explain the process to you. I will read some information into the record. Once the information is in the record, we'll conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll give Warden Bickham a chance to make remarks or comments. And then we have present today some supporters. We have Miss Lillian Young, your girlfriend, who will not be speaking. Mr. Anthony Foster III, your son, and he wants to, Sharon Landrews. Sharon Landrews. Okay. I should have known that. I should have known Mr. Landrews, and he's a family friend, and he would like to speak. And Miss Leslie Landau, a friend. Well, they did put the right relationship. His mother, and surely she would like to speak. And Natalia Foster, his sister, and she would like to speak. So one of you have to decide not to speak because we only allow 3 persons to speak. So who's going to speak?
Speak in time to speak.
Okay. Sharon will speak. His mother will speak, and who else?
See. Girlfriend will speak.
Okay. So, well, his girlfriend does not want to speak.
I'm a speak.
So his son will not speak.
Yes,
Okay.
his son will speak. His son will speak.
Oh, son, whoever that is, refrain from shouting out. Mr. Foster, you make a decision. The 3 persons that you would like to speak.
Sharon Landry, Leslie Landau, and Tanya Foster.
Okay. So, Latanya, your mother, and Sharon.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's your decision, Mr. Foster.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, after everyone's complete their statement, we will allow you to make a statement to tell us why you think you should be released. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Foster, you are a 3rd felony offender. You're currently 36 years old,
Yes, sir.
and your offenses are, and I'm gonna read these offenses, and you will be as an habitual offender on all counts. Transaction preceding a drug offense. Possession of Schedule 1. Marijuana. Possession of Schedule 2. Cocaine. Possession of possession of Schedule 4. Alpanzolone. Possession of Schedule 2. Hydrocodone. Possession of a firearm or carrying a concealed weapon by a person convicted of a certain felony. You were sentenced on July 17, 2018. You were sentenced to 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. All of these are running concurrently, so your total sentence was 7 years. Your parole date was November 20th, 2020. Your adjusted good time date is July 13th, 2024. Your full term date, June 8th, 2025. Do you understand all I just read, and is this information correct?
Yes, sir.
Since Jackson has been assigned your case, would you please answer Mrs. Jackson's questions?
All right, Mr. Foster, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. You're 36 years old, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you actually been incarcerated?
5 years. But July be 5 years exact.
Years in July. And you only received a 7-year sentence, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I say only because you have 6 counts. All of them are drug related. Except the possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Your previous convictions involve narcotics as well. To that. In 2006, there was a possession of Schedule 2 and a possession of Schedule 4, and you received 2 years in DOC and you full termed on that. You also, in 2007, were sentenced for an aggravated burglary. You were released on good-time parole in October of 12. About 2 months later, you got arrested for some misdemeanor charges, and you were revoked on March 26th of 13. And then the current charges that you're incarcerated for now. So please help us understand why you continue to be involved in drug activity, particularly drug distribution. That's the main police's investigation of you. You were allowed to plead guilty to possession charges, but most of your charges have been involved with drug dealing. Explain to us why you've chosen that as your occupation and your lifestyle.
Well, when I was younger, I used to always blame the environment I was in for the decisions I made. But as I got older, the environment that caused me to do what I did, the decisions I made, the selfish decisions I made when I was younger. And when I was younger, I never took no drug treatment classes, no program on my first dose like I did this one. So this time I learned a lot of things about myself and a
But you
lot
learned about yourself.
about the decisions I made, the selfish decisions I made, how it affected not just only me, my family and my community.
Well, let's talk about what those selfish decisions were.
Well, me, I thought me being a better father, better brother, a better son is me having money, provide my family with money. And now I realize in my absence, all they needed was me being there. Cause they surviving and living well without me and without the money.
Why didn't you just get a legitimate job? That's what most people do.
You're right. Just me being selfish. I thought the drug ways was faster and easier. I thought that was the easy way out for me. But I didn't realize the pain I was gonna cause on my family and the victims of the community, for the people who I sold drugs to, the people that committed crimes to come buy drugs from me.
And what made you come to that realization and that appreciation of the harm your drug dealing caused to your community and customers, if you will? What brought you to that realization?
First, it started with me being sober, having a sober mind to sit back and think about my actions. When I was younger, I can't remember too many days I was sober. So me being sober gave me time to think and to look back on my life, where I spent most of my 20s in jail, me being gone 5 years time, most of my 30s in jail, and I don't want to do my 40s and 50s in jail and have my son grow up the way I did without my father.
Well, have you ever had a real job?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that?
It was I worked at Applebee's. I worked at a pipe place called Sunbelt. I worked at another construction company called Python.
And when were those periods of employment?
Well, the Applebee's and Sunbelt was upon my release from the halfway house in 12. When I got out, I continued to work in there. And then like in 17, before I caught this new charge, I was working at Python for a couple months.
And what was you doing there?
When I was doing that construction work, we just go to different places, different cities, go to different plants and do things.
Well, explain to me then, you have served time for drugs. Correct. You got out, you actually went to a halfway house when you got out. So you had opportunity to have addressed some of your issues. You got jobs. But yet you went back to drug dealing.
Because I was young, I ain't had no responsibility.
I mean, you're 36 now. And you've only served 5 years, so you were 31. When you came on these most recent charges, 31's not young.
Yeah, that's how old I was when I got caught when I started until I was 27. When I started working and started back selling drugs. And I just didn't never stop until I got caught at 31.
But again, 27 is a fully grown human being. You know, a lot of people have accomplished a lot of things in their life by age 27.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, so stop saying you were young because you weren't 17 or 18, you were 27 years old. So tell me how you think your drug dealing has impacted your community.
Because I know I destroy families, not just my own, other families. Like I say, I know people committed crime or did whatever to get the money to come purchase drugs from me.
And you never occurred, I mean, when you were in that life, that never occurred to you? You never saw what a drug addict looked like, never saw what a drug addict would do to get money for drugs? You never noticed that?
I did, but I didn't, 'cause at the same time, I was using drugs, so it didn't matter. Only difference to me, I sold drugs to support my habit, and they did other crimes to support theirs. So at that time, I didn't care, because I wasn't using drugs myself.
When they executed that search warrant, how much money did they find?
They found $5,000 in my house and 8,000, like 8,200 in my bank account.
So, most people who are in the drug business don't really use their product much because that interferes with profit and their ability to stay in the game. So while you might have been using occasionally, I would doubt that you were a drug addict. So let's be honest about who you were and what you were doing. Okay?
Both
Or
drug user and the drug dealer.
what kind of drugs were you using?
Marijuana, Loratabs,
What else?
that's the only drugs I was using. Now the drugs I was selling was marijuana, cocaine, and Loratabs.
You never used cocaine?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
It never was my thing. I started smoking marijuana at a young age, and as far as I went was the pills, the Loratabs.
So, all right, you at the programs that you have completed. The only, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, because I'm looking at your master prison record, correct me if I'm wrong. But it looks like the only treatment or drug related program that you've taken is living in.
I do have a certificate for NAA, but I don't know why it's not on my rap sheet. I do have a certificate for it. I
Okay.
didn't bring it, I thought it would be on my rap sheet.
But again, you completed phase 1 of living in balance. That's what it shows on your master prison record. You've been in living in balance since February of this year. Are you still in phase 1 or have you completed phase 2?
I thought it was together. The class is over with. We completed it.
Well, all I can tell you is that on your master prison record has been enrolled in living in balance phase 1 since 2023. So I don't, normally completed that does show up on your prison record. And maybe warden to get with the staff and see whether or not complete living in balance. But what did you get out of living in balance?
Well, it taught me how to maintain and what I got steps what I got to do for my sobriety when I get released.
What are those steps?
It's like working the 12 steps, changing my people, places, and things.
Okay.
And
And who are your people that you need to change?
like old friends that's still in their life.
Okay, how you gonna change that?
Easy, spend more time with my son, my family. Because I know that's who need me and miss me the most.
What about when they know you're out and they, want to hook up with you?
And if they ain't living how I'm living, my son mean everything to me. I ain't no friend I have in this world more important than my son.
How old is your son?
He's 5.
You did thinking for a change. Tell me what you learned in that.
Positive thoughts and come with positive results. So I had to change the way I think, stop thinking negative. I think positive, and I have a positive outcome.
And how do you do that? You know, sometimes we just say words, but what does that look like? How do you think positive? When pressure comes, you know, maybe you can't get the job you want. So I mean,
But
life is always positive. So how do you put positive thoughts?
Well, one thing I learned, a lot of actions we take, it start with a thought, because we'd never do something that we won't think about in our mind first. So to me, it always start with a positive thought. Because if I don't think about doing wrong, my action is not going to be that way. If I have just like sitting here now, if I have a negative thought about when I get out or what I'm gonna do, I know I'm gonna do wrong, but I don't have a negative thought. And that's what thinking for a change has taught me.
What's your job at the prison?
I work at a DOTD building downtown Baton Rouge.
How long have you had that job?
I've been there 2 weeks now.
Okay, what other jobs have you had?
I was at Prison Enterprise for the past year.
Okay, and what did you do? Prison Enterprise.
I work at the warehouse, deliver supplies to the buildings downtown.
I want to ask you about your disciplinary write-ups. I'm going to say they're a little bit concerning, but I want to give you a chance to address them. You've had 3 write-ups. You've had 3 write-ups since 2019. You had a fighting in November of 2021. Tell us about that. How'd you get fighting?
Well, the fighting occurred because a guy had took something out of my locker. I mean, I know I should have handled it a different way, but as a man, my pride was involved. And when he took it out of my locker, I just reacted without thinking.
Well, let me ask you this. Had you taken anger management before this incident happened?
Not after I had anger management before.
And so what you learned in anger management didn't kick it.
Not at that time. I wasn't thinking, because I just reacted after he did what he did.
The main thing anger management teaches you is not to react.
Yes,
And it
ma'am.
gives you steps how not to react.
Yes, ma'am. They tell you there's plenty of ways to deal with your anger.
And you didn't use a single one.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay. And then you had an aggravated disobedience in May 19. What was that about?
Oh, that's when I was in the my parents' there then. Now, I said my parents, we gotta press a button to open the door. And the lady told me she was in the key doing something. She ain't hear the I guess the bell or whatever in the key. So I kept pressing it. And she called me to the key. And she was telling me she was doing something. That's why she didn't see me at the door. And she said, she told me to leave. After she told me about the door, she told me to leave. She said I didn't leave. I stood there and argued with her.
And what about the incident in April 2022, April 5th, got another aggravated disobedience?
Well, I was working in a building. Me and the lady I was working for, we had problems. And I asked her to be moved. and she told me she wasn't gonna move me unless I get a write-up. So when break time came, she told everybody to go on break and told me to go back to work.
It was actually an aggravated work offense.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, who, the inmate and who's the supervisor?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Who's the inmate? Who's the supervisor?
Oh, me, I'm the inmate. She's the supervisor.
Right. So it seems like you still haven't quite figured out, who's in charge.
Oh, I did go to work. I ain't refuse to work. I ain't get locked up or nothing. They just moved me to another building.
But you got into it with the lady. And
Yeah.
that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
What can you tell us about Mr. Foster?
Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Jackson. Let's see, I've looked at some stuff too. To answer your question on living in balance, I got a report from my staff that said he is actively enrolled but has not completed. That's the information I received. And that was on living in balance. He's been here 2 years. He is a trustee, like you mentioned, which is a good deal. He and I had the same conversation earlier about the write-up we talked about, and I explained to him he didn't handle that properly. And he said he understood that, but that's really not much more to talk about with him than I've covered already, to tell you the truth.
All right, that's all I have, Mr. Rush.
Mr. Freeman. Anthony, I'm gonna tell you up front. That write-up in April 2022, the aggravated work offense, it's only 13 months ago. Then you had a fight the year before. Didn't see those write-ups when I did my initial review of your case. It wasn't assigned to me, so I just reviewed it briefly. But those write-ups are serious concerns of mine. I'm a disciplinarian, and as Warren Bicken can tell you, it has a disciplinary write-up, a Class B disciplinary write-up within 12 to 18 months of this hearing. It shows me that they're not ready because they're still getting disciplinary write-ups. You've only been incarcerated 5 years and you had 3 write-ups, and one was 13 months ago. And that's a problem. All your house, all your penalties for habitual offenses. You'll build as a multi-bill for habitual offenders. It treats you as a repeat offender. And you're still breaking the rules while you're incarcerated. When are you going to come up, step up? Your mother, your sister, your friends, your son is waiting on you. When are you going to do what's right? You have all the support in the world, but you incarcerated for a short period of time. You were very fortunate when the judge concurrently ran all of those sentences. If he ran those sentences consecutively, you'd be in jail for over 30 years. You had a short, easy time to rehabilitate yourself, and you've done a poor job. When are you going to step up? When are you going to get tired of being incarcerated? Yeah, you're not going to answer. So,
Oh, I thought you was talking. I ain't know. I'm tired now.
okay.
I just need a chance to prove to myself, my family, and everybody else. I'm tired of this now. My son needs me. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get back to him and do right for him.
But you should have thought about that when you got the write-up in April of 2022. Okay, at this time, we're gonna allow his mother, Miss Leslie Lander. Would you go to the podium and tell us what you want us to know?
I'm his mother, and I think, you know, attitude change in him, that he wanna come out and do right, raise his son, because he's been here since his son been like 3 months old. I know he wanna come and do right, and he can stay, and any program go to, I would take, because I'm tired, and I can help. There, anything to do, and go. Scientists or leading, anger management, where we have to go, I'll take. He can really change, come home and be with his son, his family.
Thank you, Ms. Lander. I'm gonna say his strongest advocate for last, and I think that's his sister. No, but I'm just saying, I've seen. Now, Ms. Sharon Landrew, would you please stay? And for the sake of transparency, I've been knowing Sharon Andrews for at least 5 or 6 years. He's a contractor that did work at my house, and I consider Sharon a friend. But that friendship will in no way affect my decision that I make today. But in transparency, we are acquainted and are friends.
See, Mr. Rote. My thing here is that I'm experienced with people in situations that work with troubled youth and stuff like that. Grew up in those type of atmospheres. My desire to see young men change. And I believe, first of all, I can help him, first of all, establish a vision for his life. But there's no vision, people perish. And given employment, one of my businesses I own, I'm willing to employ him and help set up what I feel that will be very important is accountability, strong accountability, to keep them away from the community. I've seen it all out there. And ministry wise, I have a ministry as well. We can take it through the program and be there pretty much walking hand on hand if he's willing to do that. It's not an easy process, it's a tough process, but I think after it's done, we'll see a change, man.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Please. Where are your businesses located?
In Hammond.
Hammond.
Yes, it's about 15 miles from Pelton.
Okay.
I have a garage door business. I have a welding business. And
Yeah, I was just
occasional
thinking
welding.
along the work of these lines. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Natalia? Give your full name and your relationship to this case.
I'm Natalia Austin. This is a paper. For the state that, as I heard you, charge the paper of that. And I'm gonna state that it realized what it did was right. But with power from that year, I have Amazon 3. We minister on the board that we got paid. Through the conversations from that, I realized my change and realized what he did. Like I said, we never had the conversation that we had. Just like Mr. Landry covered, I am willing to make sure he covered my church. He went to church at my church, we have a drug, we have programs where he can experience more if needed, you know, so he did do what he did, but he also realized that he shouldn't have done what he done. Like I said, we never talk the way we talk. So me personally, through the conversations, I know Mr. Foster had changed. Because like he also stated, he has a son that he never had a chance to be the first child. He's been locked in July, will be 5 years. His son needs it. It's only me, his mother, and the baby mama that's caring for him. He has a son, and my brother knows his son have developmental delays. That's what's beating him up. Because he's not hearing the choices he made. But through the conversations, I really feel he's ready to come out, make a difference, do a difference. Because I have never talked to him about books. We never talked spiritual. And we've been doing that lately. I have receipts that I have shipped him books to read. I mailed him a book about 4 months ago. I was shocked because that never was him. What he did, he really wasn't thinking. Throughout the time, he was mature. I understand that at 3 ranks, but I really feel okay. I really feel that in my heart. I'm willing to do everything to keep staying on the right path.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Mr. Foster? Would you like to give us a brief statement to close the hearing?
Yes, sir. I hold myself accountable for what I've done. I mean, it's nobody's fault but mine. I'd like to apologize to my family, putting them through this. I mean, me realizing the decisions I made, how it affect my family. And to hear my family break down like that, it hurts me. And I know I got to do better. I got to be better for my son and the rest of my family. And I just want to thank the parole board for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Is the panel ready to vote? Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Foster. Ms. Foster, lift up your hand. I'm on the fence, to be honest, I am on the fence. I'm disappointed that you have continued to get write-ups for, recent past. I'm particularly disappointed that you took anger management. And then the first opportunity you had to use the skills that you were taught in anger management, you didn't use them. Reverted back to your same old pattern of behavior. And that's concerning to me. People sit in programs all the time, but unless those programs get in you, then they're not going to change your actions and your thinking. The proof is in the pudding. What do you do when you're in the actual situation? You go back to what you always done, or do you make the effort to use the skills you were taught? And you just kind of right back to your street mentality. I don't know what pride has to do with being stolen from. It's not an assault on your pride. That's just, somebody, being greedy and stealing, but you saw it as an issue of pride and you reacted. And, you do have a family that loves you and would do anything in the world for you. But you gotta do it for yourself. Sometimes families are 2 and 8. They want to do everything for you. They can't fix you. You've got to do that for yourself. And I'm just not convinced that you're ready yet. I really am not. First, you need to complete living in balance program. You haven't done that. I'd like to see, no more write-ups. So, today my vote is to deny. Because you need more programs. You need to repeat anger management. Because apparently the first time around, it just didn't click with you. Now that you see what happens when you don't put those tools into practice, maybe you'll take it more seriously the second. I like to see you complete living in balance and repeat anger management. So my vote today would be to deny your, because you have a date coming up, July 13th, 2024, regardless, you're gonna be repeat. But finish those programs, and if are eligible to apply before that date, then do so. But I'd like to see you complete that.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, I'm kind of caught in the same quarry as Judge Jackson. But my vote today is going to be to grant upon completion of the Living in Balance program with special conditions that you have electronic monitoring through probation and parole with a curfew 9 to 6 and 3 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Foster,
Yes, sir.
I sort of told you already where I am. I'm a disciplinarian. And my philosophy is if you can't follow the rules when you're incarcerated, when you're being watched 24 hours a day, what are you gonna do when you get out? Your demeanor today, you were not ready for this hearing. You didn't prepare yourself. You didn't explain yourself the way I thought you should explain yourself. But that's secondary. My main concern is that you had a disciplinary write-up only 13 months ago. And I want to see a longer period of time where you maintain and follow all the rules and regulations of the facility. I want you to get some additional substance abuse education and treatment. I want you to be equipped when you are released that you will stay released. I don't want you to come back and I'll parole you and 6 months later, I have to see you at a revocation hearing if you didn't follow the rules and regulations. You get revoked and you'll be back incarcerated. I want you to finish more programs, add more hours to your good time, and that good time date will move up and you'll be out sooner than July. So my vote is to deny your request. We have received 1 vote to grant your request, 2 votes to deny your request. Your request for early release has been denied. We'll go back, get with Warden Beckham, and ask him to enroll you in anger management, finish the second phase of living in balance, and any other program that you can get under your belt by the time you release sometime next year. You have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.